I wanted to share some thoughts on some of the observations and reasons that it was hard to get to paradigm B for me, and kind of a different way to look at it. Kind of how does paradigm A work, and why do people stay stuck thinking that that is the only way that we can experience the world? And I discovered this a while back, that kind of how our culture works is we decide collectively our agreements on what's cool. So think of things like things that have shifted over my lifetime. I'm 50, I'm over 50, 51. And things that like culturally shifted, like tattoos. Tattoos used to be kind of the counterculture kind of thing, the rebellious act. You can think of a lot of things that kind of go under that idea, and a lot of things that are popular today, kind of like the MMA, that mixed martial arts. There was a day back when I was younger where politicians made it illegal. Cage fighting was illegal, and then all of a sudden we've accepted it, so much so that it's almost one of the most popular sports in the United States. So kind of what's at play. So there's this sense that we don't belong in paradigm A. And when we have that sense, there were people that were the rebellions. They became the hippies, and they became the ones that got tattoos. They're the ones that got the piercings, or changed fashion, or changed music. But it was always kind of from a rebellious perspective. It was, think of it this way. It was somebody or groups of people that said, I'm not these collective agreements that we've all made. There's something different. And so they start pushing up against paradigm A, and then a rebellion happens. And, then the rebellious behavior, and the smoking the marijuanas, and these kind of things. And so what I discovered was that really the culture and the counterculture are just two aspects of the same coin. And it keeps people, even the counterculture, are in opposition or resistance to the culture. And the culture's always found a way to integrate the counterculture, meaning, at first we've got the loud voices that, just try to dispel all of that and move to the next thing in the world and criticize it, create things like, people can't have tattoos they have it in their bylaws in their office that if you have tattoos, you cannot work here, these kind of things. But it's always a resistance movement. And so what I recognized was that if I wanted to be something different, I couldn't be counterculture. There was something where I didn't fit in paradigm A. And I recognized that, I had started doing things that were kind of rebellious to the culture. I was always one that was very kind of on the side of let's all just agree upon all these collective ideas, even though, looking back, they were horrible ideas. I started pushing against it, but I found myself not making any movement. I wasn't becoming anything different. I knew I was different than the agreements that we had, and I wanted to live life differently, but counterculture was so much more ingrained in culture than I had thought. And so I just give you an idea. This is kind of the idea to shift thinking over to paradigm B. Is I kind of think of it as, we've got culture here, and then the rebellion goes here, and that's counterculture. So basically they are on a linear line. But they are just two sides of the same coin, kind of like control psychology. So what do I feel like that I've done moving into paradigm B was moved perpendicular. Meaning that, and what I would say is the sensation, because that's the most important part, is that it makes sense, is the sensation of that is I still feel connected to I'm attracted to some of the collective agreements. I'm attracted to some of the counterculture agreements, but then I'm also a free agent and free agency, sovereign to find my own way and how I want to experience things, and be and exist and experience reality from this as myself, not as who I think I am compared to how everybody else is. So it's just kind of like a little mind nugget, a little mind seed that, when I would run into experiences where, I was running into resistance, I would start to look at it and just say, it's probably that resistance exists within the pole of the counterculture and the culture. And I'm not into the resistance thing. So where would I want to look? What's the perspective? What's the adjusting of my lens to paradigm B? And I would think, oh, this just isn't for me. This isn't my thing. I'm not into the resistance movement.